What's going on, the Wellthy fam? Gilman here, back with our daily Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded today, key levels of support and resistance. We are looking at some news around Apple stock and where it could be headed in the future. So we'll do all of that. We'll do technical analysis. I'll talk a little bit about covered calls as well, because I know some of you guys have shown interest in that, so that'll be at the very end. So if you're interested in all this, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts on Apple are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So let me go ahead and pull up the chart on my computer, go ahead and hit record, and we'll get right into the video. So another small green day for Apple, right? We're doing pretty well over the past 4 or 5 days. Finally starting to move up after kind of trading in this very, very narrow range and not really doing anything for the month of March. Part of that was because the tech, big tech was kind of just getting beat down. We had a lot of stuff going on with bond yields, which was very, very kind of taking over the entire market, especially big tech, since a lot of, their future valuation is based on the cost of debt, right? So with all that being said, Apple is finally starting to move up and doing relatively well. Couple things I want to cover. The first one being that, we've seen this kind of rally, you can call it, right? Mini rally so far. And this article here from Benzinga talks about, people buying a lot of calls and money flowing into that for, kind of betting that Apple will continue to rally. So let's take a look at this article here. As we covered yesterday, Apple closed 2.36% higher and has risen 5% over the last 4 trading sessions. So you go, today, yesterday, Thursday, Wednesday, it's gone up after a 7-week-long tech rout. So that's what we talked about, right? The month of March and a little bit before, Apple wasn't doing so well. So that's crazy. That's, great to see, crazy to see, whatever you want to call it. We're now 5% over the past few days. And what we're talking about here is some large bets have been made, right, through calls, that Apple stock will continue its upward trajectory over the coming weeks and months. The call sweeps and block, this was purchased in the last 2 minutes of trading Monday, yesterday, for over $7.5 million, going between April 30 and September 17th. So just goes to show you, people are betting money for Apple to move in the right direction. Now, I don't always look at this and go by calls myself. There could be various reasons that, people buy calls, and, just because there's a large volume does not necessarily mean that they're betting for the stock to go up. It could be a hedge position. It could be a lot of different things. But that's what we're talking about here. So we've got one for September 17th, about 500,000. We've got, a lot more here if you're interested in this article. I'm using Webull here. So if you want that, link in the description below. Webull gets some free shares. It has all these, a lot of the news articles that I cover on a daily basis. But yeah, so a lot of people are betting big money, 7.5 million, which is great. Now it does go out to September 17th, from April 30th to September 17th. So hopefully, we see kind of that push up. I still hold my Apple shares. I still hold that one call that I bought going out to, I believe it was June or July. Still holding that. Starting to look a little bit better now than it did last week. And then I bought another call yesterday as well, expiring, let me check, but I believe it was end of April, because I am, again, bullish on Apple, and I was pretty much waiting for this turnaround. So let me see which one that is. Yeah, so it's the 125 call going out to May 7th that I bought yesterday. So, hoping for a great month of April for stocks in general. As I talked about previously, it's historically a great month for stocks. So hoping for that to continue. Something else that I want to cover, and we've talked about it a lot on this channel. If you are a regular, by the way, if you're not, hit the subscribe button and become a regular, because you don't want to miss out. But if you are a regular, right, we've talked about a lot of growth potential for Apple, mainly the growth potential coming from the services sector, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So this analyst is talking from Morgan Stanley, is talking about forecasts over the next 2 years for Apple's services revenue growth. Wall Street is estimating 18%. They're projecting 22%. And for the fiscal year, 17% versus analysts' view of 13%. So that's what we're seeing here, you guys. That's what we are looking at here. Again, overweight going to 156. Before it was 164, now it's 156, but still 156 implies about a 20-something% upside to where Apple is today, which is absolutely crazy for a company like Apple, which has a $2 trillion market cap, right? So that's another thing I wanted to cover. People are bullish on Apple's services revenue, and the reason that that's such a big deal, as I've covered previously as well, is because Apple's current cycle of iPhone updates coming out in October, kind of September, October timeframe, means we're getting a lot of revenue occurring in one quarter, and that's it. Sure, there's continued sales throughout the year. Sure, there's MacBook sales, iPad sales, whatever. But if you look at Apple's balance sheet, that last 3 months of the year, right, with holiday and the new iPhone release, is the biggest quarter. With services getting an increase, since that's a recurring revenue, right, that occurs year round, you don't need the launch of a new product. iCloud, App Store, Apple Music, Apple Fitness, all these things, once people sign up, they're more likely than not going to continue paying that monthly fee, which is great because it doesn't necessarily require a new product or a new service, because people are paying monthly. So that's what I like about services. We've talked about it here on the channel for a while, but we'll see how that goes. Now let's get into the technical analysis part of the video, and we'll see how it was. So actually a little bit of a gap down in the pre-market, right? We went from kind of in the 126s to 125, but quickly, right before the market even opened, we pushed up against this level, and pretty choppy, got rejected, barely made it above, came back down, finally made it above 127.13. Now, yesterday, if you guys saw the video, we talked about the low 127s, which was the last time that we got rejected, being a little bit of a resistance as well, which is exactly what we saw today. And then take a look at this, right? The reason that we have these levels is because it's clearly a level of resistance when you're going up against it, right? So you're going up against it, you'll hit up against it, that's called resistance. If you're coming from above, that's called support. So here you could see resistance taking part a couple times. Here you could see support, resistance again, right? That's why we have these levels on here, you guys. Resistance, and then we kind of ended the day down. So what I don't like about the day, kind of this push down towards the end, right? We ended the day below VWAP, but so did the overall market, so nothing to be kind of scared about, right? Actually, S&P was red on the day, Dow Jones was also slightly red, and NASDAQ was flat but also kind of red. Well, S&P and NASDAQ were both pretty flat but red. Apple was small green, so that's definitely great to see. Don't like that we're below VWAP and how we ended the day kind of on this down, but we're still green on the day. So let's take a look at the daily chart and we'll see what we see. So we're trying to capture this breakout pattern. We kind of got a breakout. I wouldn't necessarily call this the typical breakout, but hey, it's Apple, it's a big company, so we'll take what we can get. We've now got 5 days of higher highs, higher lows. RSI is looking good at 55. So now let's talk about future levels of support, future levels of resistance. So we talked about this yesterday too, right? But our first level of resistance is this 126.65 level right here. Once we get above that though, here's the level I pointed out, this kind of 127.22 level that held up as a little bit of a resistance after we broke above that. And today we saw our high being 127.13. So clearly similar resistance, right? Coming into play, 127.22, 127.13. Once we can get above that, 128.54, which again, if we scroll back here, we've tried to break above twice after coming below it on February 19th, but we were not able to do so, hitting up right against that. So we've got some pretty decent levels of resistances coming up, you guys. If we continue green, if we break above 126s, then the low 127s are pretty good level of resistance, and the 128.50s are a good level of resistance, and then 130 will definitely be a good level of resistance as well. So we've got some kind of tough resistances to break, but I think that as we get closer to earnings, we definitely will be able to break those, assuming the positive kind of trend up continues overall. On the low side, we've got support right here at 123.69, and then we've got the 121.48 coming in right after that. So what I'm hoping for this week, you guys, is we at least, if we see a couple more green days, maybe either we could maybe see a little bit of a pullback tomorrow and push up Thursday, or maybe we keep up going up Thursday. But goal for this week would kind of be to take out this 126.65, take out that low 127s, and make a push towards the 128.54 over the next couple of days. That would kind of be my goal. But as we saw, today and this back here on March 16th, it could be a bit challenging to break above that. So we'll have to kind of see how it does at our levels and kind of go from there. Now, you guys remember yesterday I shared with you guys, I'm going to bring in my screen here, that I had an Apple call, or excuse me, a covered call here. Mine was at 127. By the way, we were pretty darn close to that. We're at 126.20s. So I was pretty close to my call getting breached today, which means if Apple ends the week above 127, technically I have promised to sell my shares for $127. I got about 75, 76, I'm gonna have to check, dollars to kind of take on that risk of having to sell my Apple shares for 127. So I have that. I've got about 74, 75 bucks for it. It's at 68 right now. So technically I'm up $7 because the call itself went down. And as we get closer to Friday, the extrinsic value of this will go down. The intrinsic value will stay. So what does that mean? That means if Apple is below 127 leading into Friday, right, this call will start going to zero. But if Apple is 127.50, right, which is 50 cents above what my call is, this call will slowly start going to $50 because that's what the option is actually worth. So I'm actually cheering for Apple to go above 127, even though that means my call will be breached, because I can always roll it out. I know one of you guys asked to see that process, and I'd love to make a video on that. So hey, if we get breached this week, if Apple has another day or two of kind of good movement up, we can definitely do a roll. And that's how I'll do a video. There's different ways you can roll. So if you take a look here, this is April 9th, today's April 6th. So this April 9, 127 call is worth between $68 and $69, depending on, bid-ask spread. If I go to the exact same $127 call a week from now, right, or next week, not a week from now, a week from this Friday, it's $167. So just by moving it out a week, you get another $100 in credit. So worst comes to worst, right? Even if you're okay with selling it at 127, you can always close out this week's call, sell next week's call, and get another $100 and still get your shares called away at 127, if that makes sense. That's if you're okay with selling it for 127. In my case, what I would typically do is, go over here. Let's say I already sold this. So what I'll do is I'll buy this back, which technically if I were to buy it back right now, I'd have to pay $68 to buy it back. Go out to April 16th. And let's say maybe I want to move it up from 127 to 128. I'll go ahead and sell the 128, which gives me another $63, right? And I get to move my strike up from 127 to 128, which means if Apple is above 128 by next Friday, then I've promised to sell my shares at 128. I don't know if this is super confusing. Let me know down in the comment section. I'm gonna be making a video on it soon, but I kind of wanted to touch on the rolling aspect of things. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of that, if you've got covered calls, or if you have any questions, and I'd love to make videos on it. Or answer it down in the comment section. So let me know. But yeah, for this week, hoping that Apple can actually break above this 126.60s, break above that low 127s, and make a push towards the 128 level. But yeah, that's all I had for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to my channel, comment down below what your thoughts on Apple are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.